Patrick Mahomes is magic. There's no way around it. And it just took the rest of the nation, 6 months to figure it out. We've only been telling you this for, all season. But it comes down to this. That game last night, getting that win against the Chargers, everybody's darling of the AFC West every single season, it has an impact. What does that impact mean? We're going to get into it tonight. And can Patrick really get back to MVP against all these wannabe newcomers? We're going to tell you tonight. Not even going to roll an intro because you know what? I'm kind of fired up. I've been lagging all day. Dan's tired, but we're going to get him awake too. It's all going to be good. Welcome back. This is RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is the channel where we tell you like it is, not necessarily like you want it to be. So if you are looking for football information, we're here for you. Make sure you like, sub, and hit that bell right now, and we'll get into it. This is fun because this is Monday night. If you don't know us, it's what we do on Monday nights. We answer your questions. This is your show. All I'm doing is herding cats as we go along to make sure that I get everything stacked up. You guys are picking the topics, and we're going to get right into it. Thanks for Spards and saying hello. A lot of folks out here. Thanks to Gary as well, one of our longtime subs here. I really appreciate that. And thanks for being part of it, Gary, because, Dan and I could talk to each other till the cows come home. If nobody's watching, it doesn't do much good. So cheers. Scotty, we will endeavor to provide the juiciness tonight. I'm sure there'll be some takes that people will be a little bit fired up about.
Yeah.
This whole MVP thing in particular, Dan, do you think right now that it will happen?
Right now, I don't think there's a question. I think it's just people trying to scrounge up anything that not to give it to Patrick Mahomes. They don't want to. Nobody wants to. They're just like, no, it's got to be Josh Allen. No. Now it's got to be Tua. Maybe, no, Tyreek Hill because of what he's doing in Miami. No. It's Patrick Mahomes. I know that people don't want to talk about MVPs until December or stuff like that, but look.
Yeah.
Watch. Look with your eyes, not your stats. Watch Patrick Mahomes play football. Tell me he's not the best player on the planet. The planet.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a competition, right?
No.
And I did all this. I put it on the thumb, and I wanted to make this the first segment here to say this. We are dangerously approaching Tom Brady territory with Patrick Mahomes.
Already there.
And I don't mean like performance on the field.
No, already there.
Okay, so you know where I'm going.
Oh,
folks,
I know where
what I'm trying to say, and Dan obviously agrees with me already. People want to hate and count him out just because they're tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes whoop ass everywhere. And yes, I slipped already. I apologize for you kids walking in home. That's not a word for school, okay? Don't use that. But that's the thing is I think that's part of this scenario why we haven't seen it till now. And it takes Travis Kelce going off. It takes Sky Moore's explosion onto the scene to make everyone wake up and say, oh, wait, maybe he really doesn't have to miss Tyreek Hill in order to still be this good.
It's nonsense. As soon as the game was over, as soon as the Chargers scored, everyone was hating on Patrick Mahomes because everyone knew it was going to happen. Everybody knew what was about to happen. Even Justin Herbert, he was like, he was looking at the clock and he was like, oh no. He's sitting there. I left too much time on the clock. You did. Yeah. It didn't matter what happened after that. It was over. And everyone just wants to throw tomatoes at him on the stage. They want to put him up there and they want to hate on him until the cows come home. And honestly, that's going to do nothing but make him better. That's going to do nothing but make him better. It's going to be, like you said, like a Tom Brady lived off of this. He still lives off of this type of hate that he gets every single day from people. And Patrick Mahomes has that same gene. He has you want to hate on me? Guess what? I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. He has that mentality. And I love it because you see him on the field after a drive like that to win a game. And he is fired up is not the word. It's not the term. Doesn't accurately describe what flows through his veins in those moments. And I think he lives for it. And I really like I said last night, I hope they don't make him the number one player in the NFL on those vote for your favorite players essentially lists. Yeah. I hope they don't. I hope people continue to find a way to try to tear him down, because as I forget who it was in the chat last night, to keep Patrick petty is the motion, the movement that we are all going to keep up in this era. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only too good for what we're all looking for, and that is domination from this team against everybody else in the league.
Mhm.
So that's really where it gets into it. So you guys are going to hear the hate tick up. You're going to hear but if Travis isn't there, he can't do it. Okay. You said the same thing about Tyreek. No, the offense does flow through Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
He
for
does
sure.
need him, but Patrick still has ways to evolve. And I at some point, Travis Kelce is going to be 46 years old and have to retire from this game. Okay. Like, it is going to happen. But until then, we ain't got to worry about it. So I just want everybody to take a step back, but be prepared for the hate, because it's coming. And I think that it's only going to get worse from here. If they do what I expect, and that is roll through the playoffs, beat the Bills in another AFC championship game, and go back to that Super Bowl, whether they win that one or not, it's going to become the Tom Brady effect for Patrick across the nation.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way about that. So let's get into your questions, because I'm sure you guys got a lot of good ones. And I want to know from you, Dan, which injury, thanks to Tone Jr., is the most concerning right now?
Thank you for the question, Tone. Right now, for me, it's Juan Thornhill. I don't know what's going to happen with Juan. We don't really know what's the severity of it. Obviously, if it comes Wednesday and he's limited in practice, I'm not super worried about it. That means he's probably okay. They're going to take it easy with Tony. I don't think that they want to risk him further injuring himself throughout the season, because again, this is about the future as much as it is about now. He could come in, he can be prepared to play, but if he's, if from what Andy Reid said, he just tweaked it. Nothing crazy, and that kind of confirms our suspicions that he was held out just because they felt like they could do it without him. They did, so they didn't really need him. And honestly, he might not play this week against the Rams, that probably won't have Matthew Stafford.
There's only like 23 Rams available for this game.
Right?
So, like, I don't know how they're going to put a team on the field. But
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So, I think Juan Thornhill is, because as much as I think Cook can be a good player, I think that, Deion Bush has come in and played relatively well in snaps he's had to play early in the season. There's an experience factor that Juan has in the defense that no other safety has. And honestly, that's the most worrisome part for me, is because he can help level out a little bit with Justin Reid's experience in the defense, because he's still a good player, but he's not a slot player, and I think that's what we're learning. You could line up Tyrann Mathieu in the slot and get better coverage out of him. You can't really do that with Justin Reid, and I think he's being exposed in that way. So I just think that the safety room is in a little bit of trouble if Juan Thornhill is out an extended period of time.
I can agree with that, and I'm gonna start using this a little bit more, folks.
So
I can
there
remind
we
myself
go.
about what I'm supposed to talk
There
about.
we go.
I went and looked them up just on defense today. 156 snaps by rookies. That is incredible. And honestly, it does tell you that Chris Clark hit me with a stat earlier when we were recording Locked On Chiefs. Go check that out and sub over there as well, you guys. YouTube and all the audio platforms. 4th in sacks right now, the Chiefs are in this league. If they do that, they're going to get to where we talked about preseason when we said they could be somewhere in the mid-teens, be a middle tier, a good defense.
Yeah.
It's within striking distance, and you have 156 snaps from rookies right now who are only halfway through a season. And honestly, some of them haven't had, like a nice even volume of snaps like Karlaftis. Like, he's been great. He's been steady. I think he's coming along just fine. This team can be that good. And if they can be, that only makes all this hype about Patrick that much easier to just throw out the window, because it'll be a balanced team that can get it done on both sides of the ball.
Then he'll start getting hate for having a good defense. So here we go. This is what it is, guys. This is what you've always wanted. You've wanted the quarterback that's going to get the hate no matter what. If Patrick gets an average defense, people are going to be like, well, if Justin Herbert had Travis Kelce, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson, if he had the defense that the Chiefs have, that's what this is going to turn into.
And if that happens, you guys will hear me turn the well into I will become well, actually. That would be my new thing. So, hey. We'll all be prepared for that. A little note, you guys do want to say this out loud. It is Q&A night. It's every Monday, year round. Unless it's the holiday falls on Monday, you're going to get a Q&A from us. But I can only read so many questions. So put your question marks the beginning of your sentence. That'll help me find them because I'm pretty poor at managing the actual chat. So Dan helps me, Aaron helps me, FLDB helps me, our whole crew helps us here. So it is a group effort to take care of you guys and get all your questions answered. So cheers. Canadian Chief, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad you're here. Do you think that the Chiefs are getting phantom calls because of the way that the crowd booed the one ref back when Cleat got embarrassed on national television? It seems like this game they're getting calls that are a little bit fishy. What do you think?
I don't know. I can't say that they're getting phantom calls because of what happened. I think it's the officiating in the NFL. That's the problem. It's not so much that a penalty is or isn't. I think the biggest problem, and I've said this for years, is that the refs are not full time, and with the way that the NFL makes money, it's a detriment to the sport. They are purposefully impacting the quality of their football by not paying for their referees to do one thing year round: study and be paid for it. It's having a negative impact on games. We're seeing it more and more as we're seeing newer referees come in to play, and they're trying to establish themselves in the NFL. It's hard to do when you're this isn't your job.
Yeah, you're a part-timer.
You're a part-time guy. So for me, in my opinion, this is the NFL's fault because they are too cheap to pay them to be a year-round job.
Just imagine when you guys watch a ball game and then you come back and watch film breakdowns and you hear and see the things that you didn't catch live, right? Mm-hmm. Just imagine if all these referee crews had that, and that was their job. And so 5 days a week, they watched film and learned what was going on. They learned to pick things up that much better. Imagine what this game would be if they were full-time refs. I completely agree. I'd love to be one, but I am too old to be running around the field with a bunch of 20-year-olds. I'm going to get killed. But I'm happy to help design some education for these refs because I think right now, maybe this year more than most, we've seen a problem with it rear its head. Tim, I'm really disappointed with Tony having a hamstring issue again last night. I was looking forward to seeing him used a lot in the game. Are you worried about it being a real issue moving forward? I don't know the specifics of it, so I can't be – I don't want to blow it off, but I don't want to be too concerned either. Knowing that he's had the issue in the past, there's two sides to that sword. One is that it is easily re-injured when you have a systemic thing. The other thing is he hasn't been in the Chiefs training room for very long. So I do think there's a lot of room to recover. This season's going to be up and down, hit or miss, I think. Once he gets in an off-season program, I think he'll be better off.
Yeah, that's part of the reason he's not in New York anymore, is because they felt he was a huge injury risk, and there's not much you can do about that in New York. But as we've kind of seen in Kansas City, there are some players that just kind of have that always injured part. You hope that it doesn't go away, but you really hope that he can get into Kansas City and just start to treat his body a little bit better. Maybe that helps. I don't know. I don't really know much about how injuries and stuff work. So
I'd love to tell you everything that I know, but even when you worked in the industry, and I've worked with a lot of athletic trainers because strength and conditioning is right next to athletic training. Mm-hmm. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And that's why there is such a variation across the league of how well, not just physicians, but training groups do with their athletes. So it is definitely difficult and challenging. Bill, why doesn't KC run 2 running back sets? Because they refuse to listen to me, Bill. They refuse. And honestly, it takes one more guy out of the routes downfield that they don't want to sacrifice. God, I love it when there's 2 backs in the backfield, particularly if one of them's a fullback.
Yeah, honestly, though, if you look at the way this offense does function, I think by putting another below to average running back on the field, you're taking away from the total talent level on the field. And I think that's really what Andy Reid's looking at. And as much as I think that, Michael Burton and I think using McKinnon and Pacheco at the same time on the field can be useful, I think 13 personnel is far more effective. They're probably the best 13 personnel and grouping offense in the NFL. I think that's how good they are. And when you look at that and you have your already running back on the field, you're trying to take one of those guys off. And when you take one off, usually it's a wide receiver coming in. So I think that the overall talent level on the field gets diminished with 2 running backs on the field.
Okay. I think it depends on who your running backs are, but for the most part,
in this group, yes,
yeah, on this team for sure.
With this group,
yeah, across the league, I think that's a little bit different, but I'm with you in general. Akia, did Sky Moore impress enough to get more playing time moving forward? A, I think so, and B, I think the injury situation is going to demand it.
Correct. I'm with you there.
And that's not to say that he hasn't earned it, but it is both things that are going to feed into that decision.
For sure.
Let's see. Dez, welcome back. How worried should we be about the Rams and the Bengals? I mean, the Rams are a mash unit, but the Bengals, they raise up and play their best game. They can push the Chiefs to a game like they had last night, where they have to go like attack it and take it from them.
You got to show up against every team in the NFL. If they don't show up against the Rams, this could be an uncomfortable game. Just for the simple fact that the defense has some studs on it, and you never know. I don't think that their offense is any good, but I mean, you never really know. And the Bengals, I'm telling you right now, this is 2 weeks out. They will have Jamar Chase on the field. He will be playing against Kansas City. He's coming back to practice. He's not going to play this week. He will play against Kansas City. And that team can push the Chiefs. They are uniquely built, like the Chargers when they're healthy, to attack the Chiefs down the field. Yeah. And that's where their true weakness of this defense is, in the totality sense of going toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Yeah, you can run the ball, but at some time they're going to get a negative play and put teams behind the sticks. That's what they're counting on. But when you can come out and you can play Twin Towers like on the outside, it does stress the defense's true weakness when going toe-to-toe with Mahomes.
Yeah. All right. And that's what it is. It's all matchups.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to have to see how it comes down. I think those are the two biggest games at this point. Jeremy, after the Jags loss, I felt better, better about the receiving corps. Should I still feel good, or is it worrisome at times, OBJ? You should be worried about recovery, but we're far enough away from the postseason that I'm not too concerned about it. And worry about OBJ or go get him, because I'm still all in on going to get him.
Yeah, I think it's about going to get him, and I'm with you there. This is kind of why we've talked about you really would have liked to have the bye week like last week or right now. Like you'd love to have that right now, but unfortunately they got an early one, so you're going to have to manage some of these injuries. That's why you probably won't see Juju this week again against the Rams. They're just going to have to try to manage their wide receiver injuries. Now you got Clyde down. You don't know how long it's going to be with Juan. So you got to play some management, take a game, and maybe rest some guys and let them get healthy.
I'm with you. Royce, thank you. Appreciate you. We appreciate everybody being here and enjoying what we do. We try to do it the best of our ability. And, some days I'm good, sometimes I'm not. But, hey, we'll keep on trucking. How good, bad are they without Kelsey? Kelsey slows things down. You have to have Juju back, in my opinion, to move the ball efficiently. Doesn't mean they can't win and they can't get big plays. But to have that efficiency where you're getting 12, 15, 18 chunks of yards at a time, I think you have to have Juju. If they're both out, I get nervous.
Yeah, I would be interested. I don't want it, by the way. I don't want it. I'd be interested to see what the offense looks like without Travis Kelce, because if you figure naturally he draws more defensive attention. Okay, that opens up the field. And when you have guys that, one, you don't know where the ball is going to go because there's no like true one in the offense, it does raise a certain unpredictability factor. But I also think that they're doing that this season with the unpredictability factor. As much as I think Travis Kelce is the dude, we all know that, you don't really know where the ball is going on every other down except for third down. Right. I think he's made that abundantly clear. And Travis is like, I don't care either. You guys can know. The Chargers knew, by the way, on every third down, the football was going to Travis Kelce. They knew it, and it didn't matter. Funny enough, they ran the exact same play to win the game last night that they used to win the game last year in LA. It's the exact same, probably the exact same concept, maybe not the exact same play. It's the exact same concept with the man beating drag across the field. Travis Kelce just went the opposite way. That's all it was.
Yeah, at
Doesn't
the end,
matter.
it's Travis Kelce. I mean, and let's be real. It's not that every play's designed for Travis, because you do want to move it around. You do want to use him as a target to pull coverage to him. But they're just so uncannily connected that they always know where he's going to be. He can always go to him. And to the detriment on all those plays that everybody always cries about, particularly the national talking heads that are like, oh, he missed a guy wide open. Yeah, because he was looking for Travis freaking Kelce. That's why. It's part of the game. Again, it's a two-edged sword. There are some negatives to it, but 99% of the time it pays off. That's what you got to do. Chris, if Dallas doesn't re-sign Tony Pollard, would you guys be okay with the Chiefs giving him a contract in the offseason? Hell no.
No.
And nothing wrong with the player. Great player. Second contract. Don't want a second. He's going to be $8 million a year. Yeah. And it'll take away from Pacheco. No. I will take, honestly, the guy that I'm really high on right now, I think is going to be a late day 3 guy, is McIntosh from Georgia. I love the way that he plays. He's got low mileage. Like, you don't like him as a day 3 guy?
No, I like him as a day 3 guy. I'm consistently looking for the guy. I'm looking for the guy. And I think the Chiefs have a really good track record of running backs in the 3rd round. I know it's a little higher than most people want to, but if you think about the totality of, and if they had the 2nd, 3rd round pick, I'd be more inclined to look at it from that standpoint. But I like McIntosh. I think he's more of a McKinnon player, which is fine. It's fine, but I'm looking for the guy, because I know a lot of.
When you say the guy, you mean a bell cow, an 80% of the carries guy,
a 70% of the carries guy.
Okay,
I want 70.
Okay,
and I think that's reasonable, because no offense to Isaiah Pacheco, who has done very well for himself as a 7th round pick, I personally don't believe he's the guy that does that. I don't believe it, and he can always prove me wrong. I would love nothing more than a 7th round draft pick to prove me wrong. I'd love it. I would absolutely love it, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I would like the Chiefs to maybe look at a 4th round running back this coming draft to look for the guy who can be the 70%, and then Pacheco can come in and do what he does best. I love him as a change of pace back.
I can get down with that. My general philosophy of running backs is just so different than yours that I'm really looking for a guy to only be a 3rd of a running back. I don't need a guy, So like, I like the change of pace. I like being able to wither attrition as injuries come onto the position every year, and be able to like change it up matchup wise every now and then, just to throw something at a team that they don't expect. So
I get it.
Scott, after 2-game suspension, Frank Clark had 2 tackles and a QB hit. And he tied Chris Jones with 7 pressures as well. How overpaid is he compared to the actual 2022 play? 50% overpaid, 100% overpaid. I mean, he's producing pressure. He's manning the run. I'd call it somewhere between 30 and 50% overpaid.
Yeah, and honestly, that's okay with the contract that you've given him. That's fine. He's been better this year than he's probably ever been in the regular season for Kansas City. And again, those 7 pressures, he made a big impact. I know you guys didn't hear his name last night, but he was far more impactful than a lot of people really were giving him credit for. Obviously, Chris Jones got the sacks, but he was there. He was there a number of times, and sometimes that's what it's been, just trying to get home at times. But you're not always going to get home. You're going to impact the passer in different ways. And 7 pressures is a good day coming back right off of a 2-game suspension.
Yeah, agreed. Oregon, you have a good point. If you are somebody that's stressed about the rookies playing so much right now, it will pay off come postseason. The only thing you have to worry about is every rookie hits the rookie wall a little bit differently. Some just power on through it. Some it makes a difference. But the good thing, honestly, the big thing about having a 17-game season now is now you have an extra week where they can like have a lull and come back up for the playoffs. I love it.
And I think the big thing about these rookies is that they've been dealing with adversity, and I feel like for the most part, they have found ways to improve in game and come back and play better when they've dealt with adversity or made a bad play. And that's huge. That's why you're seeing so many of these rookies playing, is because they have already a mentality where they're an NFL player. Like a lot of rookies get barraged and they don't really always know how to respond. And it feels like this group is different, that they respond differently. That's so encouraging, not from a drafting perspective, like Brett Veach drafting guys that can come in and give you quality reps, but in terms of what they're going to turn into, like it gives you so much confidence in that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oscar, don't worry about missing last night. You had a game to watch, buddy. But thanks for being back here. Sous chef life is tough, buddy. I have a couple of friends in the industry. Well, at least they were, because everybody's burnt out at this point. So I feel you. So enjoy yourself and cheers for being here. FLDB was reminding me they changed the MVP voting to 5 selections now, like like NBA, no longer just 1 vote per person. That's interesting. I did not catch that news.
It's new this year, yeah.
Okay, I can live with that. That's great. Thanks, Frankie. Samuel, how worried are you that the special teams will cost us in January like the Packers last year? I'm really not.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys watch the Packers special teams, it was a dumpster fire. There's differences between having some hiccups. Yeah, the Chiefs have had more hiccups than they usually do, but again, that's like Ryan talked about last night. This is almost a whole new group of special teams guys that are learning, and they still aren't as bad as the Packers special teams last year. I don't think it's going to cost them any problems in January, but we'll see. It could cost them some field position, like it did with Isaiah Pacheco at the time, but that was a learning experience. Yeah. So, like I said about these rookies, they're younger players, and they've dealt with their mistakes for the most part and been able to battle back from them. So I think that they'll be okay. We'll see, but I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Cross our fingers. Britton, thank you for the question. Do you think that the line blocks better for Pacheco because of how he runs, or is it simply that they run counter and gap schemes more when he's in the backfield, or was it last night about the Chargers D line? I don't think that they changed the percentage too much. I saw a couple of failed power traps as well. Like nothing was perfect last night, but I do think it is a combination of the fact I don't know that I saw a counter at all. Dan, you tell me if I'm wrong.
I saw a counter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I obviously was not paying enough attention to that, but I feel like the line feels like if they give him if they give him a gap, they feel like he'll exploit it better. And I think that makes him run harder. And no matter what you take away from Pacheco, the guy runs hard every single time. And that can fuel an offensive line.
Yeah. He's uniquely able to take advantage of what this offensive line is going to give him. Some bigger holes at times. He's also does look to get outside, which when Clyde was there, he can't do. It's just he cannot take advantage of it. Man. But Pacheco gives you that element. He does miss some holes inside, but he is going to take some advantage of the outside a little bit. And the Chargers' run defense is awful. It's awful. So again, it was a unique situation where they had good holes opening up with a bad defensive line, and Pacheco taking advantage of some of the outside gaps that he saw too. So it was just a nice showing against a bad defensive line, but also confidence builder for both Pacheco and the offensive line.
Yeah, agreed. Whiskey, thanks for the support. Appreciate you, buddy. Always enjoy listening to you guys talk Chiefs. Thank you. Just to ask a question. If you could go back in any time and attend any KC regular game, which game would you choose in all of KC history? Regular season.
I'm going back to I know they lost, so I'm going back to the Rams-Chiefs game from 2018 where it's 54-51. I'm going back to watch that game.
Super simple for me. Shannon Sharp, Derek Thomas in the rain. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I can get down with that.
Yeah. I wish one of the games that I regret not going to because I had an opportunity and I didn't.
I'd also love to go see Jamal Charles 5-touchdown game against the Raiders.
Oh,
that would be something else I'd love to see.
Dang, I missed that. Yeah, I probably should have picked that one too. Terry, did you see that OBJ comment about Mahomes and Kelsey? I missed that. I saw the Cowboys stuff.
OBJ is commenting about every team that he's talking with right now. So
you got money? You got money? I'll talk about you. Great to see Sky Moore not running 40 yards on clear out routes. Absolutely. Allowing him to do what he does is what he's good at. I can see him slowly becoming a security blanket number 3 behind Travis and Juju in the playoffs. I think that's an outside possibility. I think the key right now for me, Avery, is that he has to take this next game against a beat-up Rams team. I don't think he's going to see Ramsey much, so he has a small opportunity there. I don't think it's a huge fall off for the other DBs, but I think he has an opportunity. If he can prove he can continue to contribute, I think that could become the case. We all know how we feel about MVS, right, Dan?
Oh, yeah. You guys know. I have not made my my feelings shy about MVS, regardless of his stats this season. But honestly, I don't think he should be scared of Ramsey. I think Ramsey plays very similar coverage style to Derwin James in the sense that they're a little bit bigger. They like to play physically and get in your face. But Ramsey, for everything that he has been in his career, again, this is probably more a product of the situation in LA this year, but he's had a down season as well. He's not playing up to the standard that he sets for himself. I think that's frustrating for him too. But regardless, I do think that he's going to not only have playing time on Sunday against the Rams to show continuously again that he can be a guy for this offense, but he's growing confidence. And I would love to see him against a little bit of Jalen Ramsey just to not only test that confidence, but to see, I think he can beat him. I think he can.
I'm with you. That confidence then secures everything for the future with him and makes it like that. So you guys were on late last night. Absolutely. Any of us other than me not come down until 1 a.m. to go to sleep? Daniel?
No, my head hit the pillow, guys, at like 12:05, and I was awake at 5. Like I was like out, and then I was right awake again at 5 o'clock. So my nights, I didn't have a choice because I knew I had to get up. We just went in bed, and then I just closed my eyes. I didn't let myself like revel in it.
Don't get fired up.
Sometimes do.
Heck yeah. Could Nick Bolton be an all-pro linebacker soon? I don't know. To be an all-pro linebacker in this league, you got to be able to run the alley or at least get down the seams in man coverage. And they don't allow him to do that very often. And I for one, am happy for that because I think it protects Nick. It's the one aspect in his game that is not up to par with the rest of his game. But that said, I feel like the whole league, the pendulum is swinging back. The run's becoming more important. And that is playing right into Nick Bolton's strengths. And maybe in a couple of years, if that continues, maybe we could see that.
I think it's possible, but I also think that I think the league is going to adapt faster each time that this pendulum swings, because right now with those gap power concepts are becoming more impactful. This draft, watch bigger defensive linemen get taken higher. Mm-hmm. They're going to be looking for bigger athletes to play defensive tackle to stop this gap in these power, to be able to get inside there, because right now you're seeing a lot of defensive tackles lighter. They're smaller, and they're taking advantage of that on the inside. You can beat them up. So I think that you're going to see them take a little bit to that extent, but it's going to be a stat thing for his all-pro. He's going to have to get hands on balls a little bit more, not necessarily turnovers, but hit something out of the way, some PBUs, stuff like that. I don't see that being a part of his game, and that's, again, the Chiefs are utilizing him to his strengths and not using him in ways that expose him. So I don't have an issue with him not being an all-pro guy, but you never know.
We'll see what happens. I think there's a possibility for it to really change. Still crazy. Do you think that we need to worry about them not renewing or extending Chris Jones due to the money that he needs and deserves? There's Patrick Mahomes, there's Travis Kelce, and there's Chris Jones. In that order, they will extend him. I think he will spend his entire career in Kansas City. If they don't, something's gone drastically wrong.
This is what Brett Veach is going to do.
Yep.
He's going to say he's going to have Chris walk in. Just be like, so here's my checkbook, my pen. What number do you want?
How many zeros you need, Chris? How many zeros you need?
Man, my connection lost. That's cool.
Hey, stuff happens. At least it's not me tonight. That's awesome. Have the Chiefs been chip blocking more than usual? I felt that I saw that last night too. I'm going to try to do my best right now to take a look at that real quick, because I did feel like that. And let me come back to you, Adam. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at this one and see what you thought of Mac last night.
All right. Thank you for the question, Jonathan. Didn't hear much of Mac last night. Was our offense tackles being better? Just a good game plan. So Mac in the first half of this game was impactful. The defensive line was impactful. They were able to get Mahomes. They were hitting him early. Mac was a part of that too. As the game wore on, they got tired. And when you're not getting Mahomes off the field, when you're not limiting his big drives, when you let him get 3rd and 17s, you saw some heads start to hang a little bit. And Mac's a bit older. So in the second half of games, if he's not teeing off on the quarterback, if he's forced to stop the run a little bit more, he's a very good run defender. But again, those snaps and those drives take a toll on Mac. And the Chargers offense was getting off the field multiple times in the second half. So he was on there quite a bit in the second half, and he got tired. So late in that game, you saw Mahomes and the offense take advantage of the guys that were up front that were tired, and it was very easy to see the difference between the first half and the second half when they were fresh and they're ready to go and they were hitting Mahomes and they were getting creative with the blitzes, and then they just stopped because they were too tired.
Happens. That's part of, again, the physical portion of the game. Get them tired. That's where the advantage lies. Adam, to go back with you, I just checked. They had 13 chips on last night. They had 11 the week before. If I go back to week 6, what I see is that there were only 6 chips thrown. So it has doubled, like from week 6 to week 11. But it feels like it's been gradually going up to me. I don't know, but I did notice it more last night.
Mm-hmm. I just got tagged by Whiskey Bravo on Twitter.
What happened?
So here's a chart. Quarterback efficiency is just labeled in likely passing situations, which are greater than 80% pass probability. Mahomes gets better, and he literally almost laps the entire league in production. You see this gigantic red bar on the left side, and then it's just like, oh, everybody else. Thank you for that, Whiskey Bravo. Appreciate that.
That's awesome. Daryl, thank you for the support. We appreciate your super chat. Folks, if you want to support the channel, that's a good way to do it. Grabbing RGR gear is another way you can get it in the store here. It'll be linked and tagged in all the stuff, so it's easy to get to. And I'm going to come up with a new URL to make that super easy, so we'll get that. I don't know if you guys have covered this already, but how's the injuries going, especially for Juju? Zero update on Juju today from what I saw. I didn't get to see everything live, so I could have missed something. But looks like my guess is Niang gets activated tomorrow, and they see what kind of shape he's in. Andy said that he made some progress. I expect Juju to miss at least another week.
Yep.
Everything that I've heard outside of what the Chiefs are saying is that it's going to take a bit of time.
It's fine. Honestly, It's okay for this game. I shouldn't need him for the Rams game, but just get healthy. Get healthy.
That's all that matters in the end. Let's see. New Punk Rants. Appreciate it. Thank you for the support. I knew Mahomes was going to have this season when he did that presser talking about Texas Tech. The man keeps notes. He keeps coming to collect them. Yes, he will. And that's what we were talking about before. Like, that's the similarity with Tom that is a positive in my mind, but is going to drive everyone around the NFL crazy because he ain't going to let go of stuff. He's going to get his revenge.
He's going to keep getting better. And I think the scary part for the NFL is that he's gotten better. I tweeted earlier today, you guys all remember that month and a half struggle he had against the 2 high safeties last year, where it looked hard for him.
Yeah.
What looks hard right now? Nothing. Mahomes, he's got it all figured out. Like, when obviously every quarterback's going to struggle when you're going to be able to get home with 4 guys. You can't do everything you're supposed to do as a quarterback if your offensive line doesn't give you enough time against 4 guys. It's 5-on-4. If they're getting home, there's a problem. Okay? It's not his fault that he struggles against guys getting home with 4. Every quarterback does. But everywhere, Mahomes has gotten better. And he does not look like he struggles against coverages. Some players struggle against coverages. Man coverage has seen a bump up, and guys aren't getting open. But Mahomes has gotten better.
Well, I'll tell you this too. I hope that Andy learns from this a little bit, that he doesn't have to be so concerned about. He never wants to chip unless he absolutely has to, because it takes guys out of the routes. Yeah. I think they proved last night that chipping more, keeping more guys in, taking a guy out of the pattern doesn't necessarily mean that the play's less successful. So I hope that they can keep that up a little bit, because the tackles aren't going to change. Even if Niang comes back, he's going to be super rusty. So we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. Lance, looking forward to you guys comparing the last 3 Chiefs drafts to the other drafts. How did this team get so deep so soon? Well, it's been the volume of picks. It's been the moving back. Yes, they gave up some ones, but it's the volume. And the last 2 drafts in particular, man, we'll have to take a long look at that the offseason.
I mean, this last one, when you get as many picks as they had on day 3 and as many of them are contributing, that's how you get deep. When you're able to take guys on day 3 that turn into contributors, and you can trade guys like Fenton for another lottery shot at a guy in the 7th round. Like, that's what they're doing. They're taking guys that they've drafted, they're utilizing them, they're getting them involved, they look good, and they're like, okay, we got some depth here. And then they take one who was, again, a 6th round pick, and they're like, okay, well, usually these guys don't make it in the NFL, but Rashad Fenton has been a contributor to this defense, and you get something out of it. That's what they're doing, and they're doing a great job of developing these guys.
Well, and kudos to the front office, because They might have some gaps. I question some of the decision making and some of the evaluations around defensive ends in particular. But in terms of offensive linemen, they've been very good over the years. On day 3, they've been very good in this whole regime with defensive backs all the way down to day 3. And that's key. When you pay off in day 3, that's how you get this deep.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey, I think you're absolutely right. A 46-year-old Kelsey will still be burning the Chargers.
It won't matter.
I'm not concerned. Sparge, thanks for the support, buddy. We appreciate your super chat. For a dilapidated roster, our guys really showed up. Took a half, but stood up when it counted. Thanks for all the great content. Thanks for being here, Sparge, and fueling us. You guys help us keep going, too, with questions and the support that you guys give. We very much do appreciate it. Did you see that they're activating Niang this week? They may.
Yeah.
It's not a done deal yet, Terry, but that's what it looks like. I took Andy's comments very positive today.
Mm-hmm. And this has been my expectation ever since he was brought back for his window. They would get him all the way up to it, activate him, work him in. Maybe last game of the season he plays. They're going to bide their time as long as they can to get him ready to be the most confident in himself if he ends up playing. That's all that matters. Keeping him healthy and on the field for the future if they hope they get something out of him.
Yeah, bottom line is bottom line. Daryl, thank you. How great was to see Sky have a game, and how much do you think this will help you in the future? Help him in the future? I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he needed a confidence injection. I think he got it. I really do. And Callie with the same question. Yeah, I think he's earned more play time. I think that confidence will continue to bolster, and I think he's got a lot more in him. He's separated from Derwin James as well as Kelsey did last night on multiple reps. So that is, he and Tony are now providing that little spark of plant your foot and separate immediately. You time that up with Mahomes, and he doesn't have to manufacture reps so often. He can just get the ball out, get 12 yards, and reset the chains and go again.
Mm-hmm. You can be on the field where Mahomes expects you to be. And then also when play breaks down, you come back to the football. Those are two things that he did last night. I think that he hasn't done in the NFL to this point. You're going to earn playing time. You're going to earn trust to your quarterback that way. And that's what Sky did. And that's just as important for Mahomes as it is for Sky. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm ready. And I know you guys want to go because I just got my notification that Travis's podcast is up. We'll watch that later. Stick around. Don't be running off.
That means Thursday Pat's going to be on.
Nice. Avery, we hear Patrick for MVP, Travis for offensive player, Chris for defensive player. How about Andy for coach of the year? Yeah, there's been some bad games, but overall, with the rooks and the new faces, one of his better jobs so far. For Andy in particular, it has to be all 17, though. They got to come down to the end.
Andy would have to go 17-0, in my opinion. Like, he'd have to go undefeated, close to it, to get coach of the year. You look at, I know Minnesota just got blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin O'Connell's probably winning coach of the year. Maybe Nick Sirianni. But what those guys have done with their teams, people want to see teams being, lots of turnover and want teams that are, the Vikings weren't very good last year. 8-2 this year. That's what I think is going to happen. But I think Andy has to have, sustained like almost a 16-17-0 type of season to get that kind of recognition because he's so great.
Yeah. I disagree that this year, only because if they get the number 1 seed after all this, with this much rookie contribution, I think he has a good shot at it. Because I do think that the Eagles are going to falter a little bit. I think it is going to be him and Sirianni. They're going to be the leaders for it. And kudos to Nick. I thought he was okay while he was here. He certainly has grown since he's left. So kudos to him. Hunter, I get that the rookie DBs will go through growing pains, but will they be ready to go for a deep playoff run, or will they get exposed by some of the top tier receivers in the AFC? Like who? I mean, the only top tier receiver in the AFC that they haven't really played yet is Chase, and they're going to see him in a couple of weeks.
And Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
I guess there's that. Is that on the schedule? I can't even remember.
No, he's saying the playoffs. Like
okay, okay. So yeah. I mean, but Tyreek's Tyreek. I don't know that any of these corners are going to be. It's going to be a zone heavy game. You're going to play too high over the top all the time, and you're going to try to get creative with one extra rusher to try to get to Tua. I got to take Tyreek out of it just because he's so unique,
I get it.
But I will say, like, I do feel like the way that this schedule has stacked up, I feel like the rookies have gotten exposed to some very high-end AFC receivers.
And they're going to get more against the Bengals.
Yeah. So I actually feel, Hunter, that like outside of Dan's point about Tyreek and Jalen, and I do think that Jalen's a lot closer to Tyreek than most people give him credit for, by the way.
Good.
Outside of that, I do feel like they're gonna get some great competition and great reps. Even if they lose them, they're going to be better prepared for the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm really
that's all
confident.
that matters. That's all that matters.
Especially this guy.
Yeah.
McDuffie is just damn good. You're absolutely right. I think his nickname should be Quiet Side because they hate throwing it at him. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to check right now because I want to know you're this one from Mr. Betty McMurray. What do you think of this? And I'm going to go look up the stat before we finish Patrick's question. What do you think of this?
All right. So I appreciate the super chat, Patty, the question, because we talked a little bit about this last night. And I do think it's more likely that he gets playing time now because he's on the roster. He'll be activated, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you see a Wayne Gallman activation over him just because, again, pass protection is important with the way that the tackles, are playing. If McKinnon is the only guy in your roster that can pass protect, I think Clyde had gotten better at pass protection. So there was some, okay, he can kind of do this better than Pacheco at times. I think Pacheco's had some up and down reps, and then he got worked over by Derwin James last night. Like, I think that they might put a little bit of emphasis on pass protection. But yes, I do think that it's far more likely that Rojo's activated this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I can get down with that. I have no idea. I don't care as long as there's 3. Thank you, Miss Patty McMurray. I hope that new season of Letterkenny comes out here pretty quick because I'm ready. I wanted to come back to Patrick's question because I had to check it, Patrick. And here's the thing. He got targeted 3 times. Obviously not a lot. It was a pretty quiet night. Mm-hmm. But when you look at total targets, this is what baffles me. And this is why this is bad offensive play calling or decision-making on the quarterback's part. Because there were 4 players that got targeted 3 times. No one gave up less yardage on any completions than Trent McDuffie, period. No one. And they targeted L'Jarius Sneed the most. 6 times he only allowed 2 passes. 2 receptions. It's just not smart when you can target guys like Willie Gay, who gave up 4 for 4, but kudos to Willie. It was only for 22 yards. He was the third lowest. Brian Cook only gave up 17, but that was only on 2 receptions. So that's the thing is like Trent McDuffie is that good right now. He's a serviceable starting corner this moment. And he's played like 3.5 games.
I'm telling you guys, there's a reason that I thought he was going to be gone by the time the Chiefs could even think about drafting him. I had him as the 12th overall pick. That's where I had him going. And they got him at 21. Got him at 21.
That's pretty good, man. I had him a little bit lower. I think I had him at 18th on the board. But this is why spending the capital to go up and get him was totally worth it. And I know people were a little bit like, really? Like, I feel bad that he got so much Marcus Peters comparisons that night. The night he was drafted. When you play at UW, you're going to get Marcus Peters comparisons. That's just the way it's going to be. But like Gold Tal just said, thank you, Gold. Yes, UW and Jimmy Lake. I hope Jimmy Lake lands somewhere good. I haven't gotten an update on where he's going to be working. He did get fired after this, but he puts out good DBs. It's not just UW. More power to the Huskies. That's my old backyard when I was in high school, but it is Jimmy as well. So pay attention to where he lands because that's going to have part of it. Now, Casey was asking, we talked about could Nick get to All-Pro? Evidently, the announcers were saying that he's already at an All-Pro level last night. I don't feel that that's actually true.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think it's close. I think he's a top. Right now, he's easily in the top 10. Might be in the top 6. I mean, are we counting Micah? I don't know.
No, because again, when Micah's an off-ball linebacker, that dude looks lost.
Yeah, it's not comfortable for him.
He's
anymore.
A defensive end. That's it.
I'm down with that. Or at least an outside linebacker. Yeah. Do you guys see Mahomes moved up to 100 all-time in the career passing yards after the Titans, and now he's 99. He's moving up the list quite well. Absolutely, Thundarius. It's only going to continue. Are the touchdowns going to can he get to 50 again? I don't know. It's more likely he gets to 5,000 than he gets to 50, in my opinion. The yardage is going to be there because what they've done now is they've taken what was one guy that could pair with Tyreek with Kelsey to get Yak. Now they can all get yak. Everybody can run in this group. And I think that's only going to get better. It's varying degrees, but the yak's just going to add yardage on his whole career.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Andy's doing a great job of scheming space for players to run through. And that's something he didn't have to do with Tyreek. He could say, just, okay, fine, take advantage of what you got, throw it to Tyreek and let him go. But now, I think you've seen Andy kind of get back into his old West Coast ways with Alex Smith. He had to scheme open guys. He had to scheme them open because they didn't. I mean, Alex Smith was what he was. But you're seeing them, in my opinion, you're seeing him use a lot of what he had to do early on in his career in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. Like it's almost unfair that he's just so good.
Hey, I'll take unfair in this direction. That works for me. Avery, I'll work the chains if the pay is right. I'll take care of you, brother. I promise. That's from my earlier scenario, ladies, gentlemen. I am not running down the field. I guarantee it. We are going to speed up though because we got 10 minutes left. We're going to power through the rest of these questions and try to give you quicker answers here. Let's see. Is Justin Ross able to practice? No, he is not. He's on IR. He can rehab, but he can't practice with the team. Let's see. Is Chiefs pick up Melvin Gordon for depth? No. When the Broncos, one of the worst teams in the league, won't hold on to you because you can't hold on to the football because you think you're what you were 10 years ago? No, thanks. No. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot ball. Would you, Dan?
Nope.
Okay. Joseph, what's more likely? Isaiah getting 15-plus carries against the Rams or 5 or less? Just frustrated with the inconsistent run game. Life as a Chiefs fan. You're absolutely right, Joseph. What do you think, Dan?
I think it's more likely 15-plus. He's not getting 5 or less. I promise you that much.
I hope that it is. If they did that, that would be I can't say it'll never happen, but it would surprise me and I would be hurt personally, Andy. Andy, I would be hurt personally. Come on. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate your support, buddy. What if the perfect scenario over the next 4 weeks for Jody Fortson? 4 weeks.
Right now, what we're seeing.
16 targets. That's my perfect scenario for him because I think he will raise his game the more opportunities he has to go get the ball.
You want him to get 4 targets a week? I don't think that's going to happen, but I think
I know, but that's what I want.
I think 3 a game is where I want. I want to see at least 2 to 3 a game for Jody because, again, multiplicity, efficiency, the 13 personnel. If you continue to tell defenses, it doesn't matter who's on the field. It doesn't matter. They always have to be ready for it. And that's when you hit them with that hook, with a 13 personnel, and you run it down their throat. Because guess what? What are they going to do? They're going to expect you're going to run it, and then they're going to be like, oh, wait, Jody Fortson is going to take this wheel route for should have been a touchdown. So, yeah, I want to see
25 and a half yards of reception. Yes, thank you. I love the fact that the announcers last night were actually pointing out what I've been saying all along is that everybody on this offense can split out and be a wide receiver. Everyone. And so they're just finally getting to the point where they're learning it. Thanks, guys. You should have been watching us preseason, but, we'll let Chris Collinsworth catch up someday. What's the rule behind blocking a supposed player even though they're within the field of play?
Okay, so this was the crackback block. Typically, the crackback is if you're going to hit someone in the side or in the back as a wide receiver that's not looking at you, like you're hitting them on the side.
Counter
blind side hit. He's coming this way, you're going this way. But Tony, if you guys watched, he waited and he squared him up. He squared him up in the chest. So
that was a legal block.
It was a legal block.
It was ridiculous. Do you think it's possible we could beat Dallas with their pass rush or the Eagles in the Super Bowl? Absolutely.
This team can beat anybody.
Absolutely. Do they have to change their game a little bit? Yes. Yes. Do they have to screen away from Micah Parsons? Yes. Do they have to hit the ball out with tempo against Micah Parsons? Yes. And I don't mean to take away the rest of the Dallas defense. They're playing great, but it's like
Micah Parsons.
It drives. It is. I mean, and I'm all for 13 personnel too. Because as good as Micah is, he's not a powerful double team splitter.
Mm-hmm.
He can get it done from time to time, but he's not all that. Why doesn't Spags put Snead and McDuffie one-on-one with Allen instead of Williams? Because they don't like to travel guys. They like to put them in a position on a side of the ball or in the slot. And then the offense moves guys around. So if you have one guy like Snead that can travel anywhere and trail anyone anywhere on the field, you got to have 3 of them if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
You get caught sometimes.
Yeah, because as soon as he leaves, then they have the matchup they want against the other two guys, especially when they're rookies. So it just makes things harder. Is there a way that Frank is on this team in the future? No.
Absolutely. I think there absolutely is, especially because he's going to be cheap. Like, he's going to be cheap. And it wouldn't shock me if they were like, hey, guess what? We still don't want to take a defensive end in the first round. Frank, you pay for a couple million a year, we'll re-sign you.
I will lose it. And that's why I'm saying right now, there's no way that happens. So if you want to see me have a conniption, folks, let's see what they do. What were you thinking when McKinnon fumbled? I was concerned. I'm not. It was his first fumble since what, 2018, 2017?
17.
Yeah. Not worried about that. I was more worried that the hit had caused him to like land awkwardly was my impression. And I was worried he was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So that was my concern.
Every time he gets hit or tries to lower his shoulder, I'm just like, dude, you're going to get hurt.
Chill. Doug, what are both of your thoughts on MVS production? Underwhelmed.
I know everyone's talking about his totality of his stats, but I believe that there are 4 to 5 receivers on this team better than he is.
Fair enough. Thank you, Clinton. Appreciate you. It's uncanny to see the NFL's best quarterback, tight end, coach, and interior rusher all you want on the field, and Brett Veach landing the steal of the draft in Smith or Pacheco in 2 years in a row, elite at every level. And that's what it takes. This is how you sustain this level of production. That's why the 2 opponents of the Chiefs have played in the Super Bowl have not returned. That's why you don't see the same team coming back to the AFC Championship every year. It does take an entire organization, down to the trainers and the guys that, wash the towels and all of it. It's crazy. Cheers, Clinton. Let's see. Any chance that they could bring McColl back on an affordable deal? If nobody offered him, sure. But I think it's going to happen.
I don't know anymore. No? He's hurt now. If someone's going to give him probably a decent deal. If KC doesn't match it, which I don't know if they would, I don't see him coming back unless it's more of a team-friendly thing.
I'm still learning the game, but it seems like Mahomes was on last night. You're right, making clutch those. I saw more mistakes from receivers, drops, etc. Is that a good read on the night? Yes, but I will tell you the biggest read for me, and Dan might disagree with me, but it's what we didn't see. We didn't see Patrick pressing. We didn't see him making iffy throws. He was contained, and he was mature, and he was cautious in not giving the ball game away.
Yeah, I don't think he made one poor decision with the ball all game. You didn't see it turnover worthy. You didn't see any of that stuff. You saw either it was getting out of bounds because he was going to get hit, or guys were getting hit with it or not running through the routes. I know people talked about MVS getting hooked on that play where he didn't run it through. No, MVS didn't run through his route. If he keeps running, he catches that ball. It's plain as day, in my opinion, regardless of whether he's – and actually, if he keeps running, you're going to get a penalty call. But instead he stops. Yeah. So you got to do some things.
There's always room for something that you got to do. Nobody's perfect. How good are the linebackers? They're almost top 10 as a unit. Yeah. And I'm talking 3 of them as the base. If it's just Nick, like I said, top 10 easy, maybe top 6. With Willie, it doesn't fall off that far as a duo.
I think they're a top 5 duo in the league.
You think so? Okay.
I do.
That's maybe a little higher than me, but I certainly can't argue against it.
I think just the way they complement each other is what does it. That's why I have them top 5. Like on their own, I don't think that they're, a top 5 linebacker. Together is what does it for me because they complement each other so well.
I'm down. Miss Holly, thank you. Appreciate you. How much does it help us against the Rams to having Cooper Kupp out? Immensely. Because now what it does is it gives you the ability that you don't have to change things up. You don't have to have L'Jarius chase Cooper all over the field because that's what I would have done. And Miss Avery might disagree. Hi. How are you? Yes. Yeah, Panthers? Oh, we're Panthers now. Okay.
Her school's mascot are the Panthers.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, wow. Do you miss CMC, my dear? Okay. but to answer your question, Holly, it does help. I know that Van Jefferson is a good player. I know that he cares. If you guys saw the Cardinals Hard Knocks, you can see just how much Van Jefferson cares. Like he's going to perform.
Yeah,
but he's not Cooper Kupp, And without OBJ out there, then I think he's doing pretty good.
I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Why?
You are so in trouble, Dan.
Hi,
Oh my
Daddy.
God.
She's adorable.
I can only yeah. Wow.
Hi,
Canadian
Daddy,
Shift,
look
thank
at the
you.
camera.
Great thought on the ref
You
stand.
can
Totally
see
agree.
yourself.
Wake up, NFL. You're
Appreciate
absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's been a long time, Lego. Glad you're back. The big bad AFC spent all the money in draft capital to humble us. At the end of the day, it's still Chiefs Kingdom. Number 1 seed. I hope that they're on their way. They got to keep their eye on the prize, though, Lego. They got to stay focused.
Yes, gotta stay engaged.
Preachers, have we put the cart before the mule with Tony? I don't think so. I think they got a pony. They got a pony with a bad shoe, a mule with a bad shoe.
Okay, can I kiss this?
They got to fix that. But it's real. The propensity to get open and make big plays, it's real. Night.
Bye, everybody.
Be good. You sleep good. I think Tony can be. It's about getting him sorted. And so, no, I don't think it's before the cart. I think they knew what they were getting into, and I think it's going to be all right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Deldrick, I'm not happy with safety Reed at 20. Are you guys okay with this play? I see what you're getting at, Deldrick. Like, I'm okay with this play. I had hoped for more. I will say that.
The problem for me is that they put him in as a slot player too much. I don't like him as a slot cover corner because I don't think he was ever good at doing that. I think he's best off ball. Every time he can come to the box a little bit. I prefer to see him as a two deep safety, playing as a true safety. I don't like seeing him in the box as a slot receiver, corner.
Let him work in space. I like that. So who are you doing for your breakdowns this week?
We're gonna probably hit up a little bit of schematic advantages that the Chiefs took up, but you're going to see Sky Moore, Patrick, Travis Kelce using the scheme, and Justin Watson. Honestly, I want to highlight that 3rd and 17. I know it's a simple concept, but I want everyone to see how running through your routes is so important, and it opens up other players. I'm going to showcase that a little bit, and that's just the scheme.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I might pull some film this week too, you guys. See if I can get out of work a little bit. The star has come to the show. Yes, she did. And now it's her bedtime. Holly said, yep, there she is. Yeah, I needed the redirection on that one, Holly. I got a little concerned there right off the bat. But hey, she's not a turncoat. She's all good.
Yeah, she's all right. We're good to go.
We got that one. Matthew's ready for your breakdowns, dude.
Appreciate you.
And Matthew, we're really glad to hear that we're helping people learn. That's why we're here.
That's all I want to do.
Like
just the fact that people love them and learn. Honestly, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Preachers, no, I don't watch Skip or any of the talking heads. I couldn't care less what they have to say.
Nope.
That goes for Bart Scott and everybody else who wants to just talk stupidity for the sake of talking stupidity. Mike Daniels not in the talks for Coach of the Year. If Kelce doesn't win OPA, should it go to Tyreek? I don't know. I have a hard time seeing McDaniel right now, just because I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't necessarily see their fire offense as being sustainable. I need to be proven that, but I'm not one of the voters either. So
I'm against you on that one. I actually think he's that good.
Okay.
Of a scheme-based offense. So I do think he's up there. I think that the turnaround, when you look at what Minnesota, I mean, yeah, they had a top 2-3 receiver in the NFL, but look everywhere else. They've gotten a lot of play on their offensive line. It's Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I mean, their defense has been very good. Yesterday withstanding. I see more of a turnaround because the Dolphins went and got Tyreek Hill. They already had Waddle. That's the story I think that the NFL goes with. But I personally think Mike McDaniel's with it is there with him.
Okay, fair enough. Croker Roar, the game calling has been amazing this year, especially compared to last year. I feel like Andy's had his game in his hand in every play. Do you feel that it's more balanced too, Dan?
I think that people just like it this season, but it's always Andy. I've always felt this, Andy. I think that Matt Nagy's had a huge impact on the red zone offense. Actually, I know that because Travis Kelce has said so. So that's been a huge, huge improvement from the last couple of seasons. They've struggled in the red zone this year. They've been the best offense inside the red zone, I think, outside of maybe one other team. So it's a big overall impact that Matt Nagy has, and Andy Reid's just doing what Andy Reid does.
He's building a team to be the staff. I mean, and that's the way you got to do it. Clarence, I'd love to get the Grim Reaper hoodie. Do you have them in 4X? I wish I could say yes. In fact, it is my favorite piece that we've ever made.
Yeah.
I can't get it because that particular manufacturer runs small, and I need a 3X that they don't have either. So I don't even have one. That's one of the reasons I'm working on. I'm building a new store with new suppliers so we can get stuff that is a little bit more varied, a little bit more wider availability. So Clarence, hang in there. I am working on it, and we're going to move over to Shopify eventually and try to get that sorted. Love the Q&As. Longtime listener from Washington State. Love it, left-handed fork. I didn't know you were up there. I went to high school up there. So
Nice.
hi to everybody in the
Appreciate you.
Seattle area, all my old pals. Appreciate it. And thanks for the support, buddy. Tatum finally got to catch you guys live on my lunch break. You work nights, huh? Ooh.
Yeah, man. That's a tough job right there.
I did that for years. Oh, I hated it. Is there a chance that we'll see more 3 tight end sets after the previous game? I think it's going to be a staple that kind of ebbs and flows, but like against the Rams, what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, you're going to see it. I think you're going to see it just as much against the Rams as you saw it against the Chargers, just because I think that they run stylistically relatively the same kind of defense that they wanted to run. Obviously, Staley was in LA. There's still remnants of that scheme in LA as it stands now. So I do think you'll see it, especially with the injuries at wide receiver.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm doing a last check for super chats here, folks. I'm not going to let this go because I think I've already missed one. And we're going to have to go back that. No, we did get that one. Okay, good. I feel better. Let's see. Okay, so making sure I don't have this in my list. So let's hit this one from Canadian Chief. He said that you were right on about the refs. We got that one.
Yeah.
Holly was talking about the Rams Cooper Cup. We got that one. We missed Bills. Bill Bradley, thank you very much. Is it me or is OBJR, not Brown, and Trey looking healthier? Or it is Brown, not Odell.
Yeah.
I thought Trey looked pretty good last night. I didn't see anything that stood out to me. I wasn't necessarily watching like Orlando for health. Were you?
Not necessarily. I think that he's looked relatively the same in terms of his footwork all season. But Trey, the last 2 games has looked healthier and looked a bit better. So I think that's huge because, again, I've talked about how I didn't think he was playing up to his potential. And if it really was the injury that was taking him down, he's starting to pick it back up. That's huge for the interior offensive line.
I'm with you. I am totally with you. Okay, good. It makes me nervous. Last call for super chats, folks. I feel really bad when we don't get them all. So nobody do anymore except for right now. And we'll close that out and make sure that I don't miss anybody. Matthew, best Chiefs confirmed. Thank you,
Matthew.
We appreciate
you.
And I said it last night, and it's not to take away from Cole or anybody else. KCSN guys do a great job. Everybody has their own kind of flavor. And I will say this, that we as a fan base for the Chiefs have a great plethora of content to choose from. It's just different ways that we do it. And we try to do the analysis and the education and the like football nerdy stuff all the time. And maybe that gets problematic for some folks. Maybe it doesn't. But we do enjoy helping people understand the game more. So thank you. And thank you for the comment, Matthew. Gary, who better about coming back in a few machines? That sounds like a Terminator question.
Yeah, I'm not entirely there. Maybe that's better.
Who's better about coming back in games, Mahomes or Montana? I mean, Joe's Joe. I mean, I know he's not a tennis player, but what was that commercial the other night?
I don't even remember, man.
When it's all said and done, it's going to come down to those two, in my opinion. Joe's still Joe, though.
He is, but this is the passing league. This is the passing league. So, Patrick, answer me this question. If you put Patrick in Joe Montana's offenses back then, do you think that he'd be better than everybody else in leading games back? Yeah. Leading back from games. If you put Joe Montana in this offense with the way defenses have adapted to the passing game, do you think he does the same that he used to do?
Yeah.
I disagree.
I think it's an inherent trait. I don't think it has to do with football mechanics or arm strength or anything like that. Okay. I think it's just a dude that won't go down. That's just me.
I tend to think most older quarterbacks, at least age in terms of eras, in today's NFL might struggle a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Bill, I'm glad that you're enjoying the nerdy stuff. That makes me feel better. And I think Holly's with us too. That's awesome. And that's really great to hear, Miss Holly. Very much appreciate that. Will Kelsey finish with, make sure I click it, with 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns? 17-game season.
Maybe.
It could happen.
Maybe.
It is certainly on the table.
I mean, he has a 2-game span this year where he has 7 total touchdowns. It's not out of the question for him to have 20 touchdowns, but yeah. Whew.
Yeah. Mo, Andy said that Luke is coming back. Did you hear? Yeah, I heard Andy say that he feels like it's possible. It's likely even, but it isn't confirmed yet. They have until, I think it's 4 p.m. tomorrow to get her done. I think it's going to happen, but Andy hinted pretty good. Brandon, thank you. And thank you, Mo. Appreciate you guys. We're going to wrap up on this one. Brett Veach has to be the greatest GM of all time when it comes to getting quality, usable talent at DB in the later rounds of drafts. He's did a pretty good job. Bill Parcells did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, I won't. I don't speak for that because I didn't, grow up knowing everything about Bill Parcells. But I know that Brett's been, at least of this era of me watching, he's probably been the best at doing it. So I will. I'll tip my hat because he's done a great job.
Take it. Okay, so literally we'll end on this one because it's a nice yes or no or a number or whatever. Where to go? Will Patrick is what the question was, and now I've lost it. Will he hit 50 touchdowns? We'll just call it that. Over under. What do you think? Does he hit 50 touchdowns?
I'm going to say no, but it's not going to be by much.
Yeah. You're going to be mad if it's 49, aren't you?
I'll be so mad. I'll be so mad.
Well, I'm going to take the over. He hits 50 plus. That's what I'm going to see.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did get Brandon's. Okay, good. Make sure you guys keep me honest. I'm terrible. I got Brandon's. Yep, that's what we were talking about. Cool. Got Mo's. We're all good. And that is a wrap for us tonight, folks. I'm super happy. Thank you for being here. We will have film for you this week. I'll do something short as well. And then I think Gary's piece for tomorrow is already ready. So if you want to know the stats and the details, we're good to go. Seth's going to record early. So you should, even though it's a holiday, you should have something from Seth on Thursday. So we are working for you. We're just working a little ahead of schedule this week. So I hope that you guys, we won't be live until post-game. So have a great Thanksgiving.
Please.
Take care of yourselves. Eat a little pie for me. It'll all be good. Dan, enjoy the little one. Give her a hug for me and tell her to enjoy the turkey or ham or whatever you guys are doing.
We'll see if she eats some this year. We'll see.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. You guys have a great night. We'll have content for you the next couple of days. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next time.